Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that knows the difference between analog and digital clocks. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge All-Stars Rivals, aka The Challenge All-Stars Season 5. And you could have given me 20 to 100 guesses and I might not have been able to clock exactly how this episode goes. I mean, talk about flipping the game on its head, and I loved it. And we'll get into all of that as we go through this review and recap. But now let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Big T and Coriel being eliminated by Ashley and Dario and coming back to the challenge house. The quest of who is they is still a giant mystery, and a lot of people have a lot of suspects. We hear from Nany, who believes that Frank is they. Amber is they. Davon thinks her own partner Shane is they. And then you have Amber giving out two people to be they, and she believes that Frank and Veronica are both they. So we have multiple people bringing up Frank, thinking that he is or has some involvement with being they. Now, we're going to keep on the Frank train because we do see a conversation between Veronica, Katie, and Shane. They are trying to strategize, but there is something amiss with Shane, and it has to do with Frank. Shane and Veronica have been friends for over 20 years. However, introduce Frank into this mix, and now Shane is feeling like he and Davon are on the outs. Davon, as we heard in the previous episode, she has a lot of connections on the other side of the house. So if Shane's alliance members don't think that they can trust Davon as much because of how Shane and Davon split, Shane is feeling like he is being replaced by Frank. And even Shane says that he has to do self-preservation. He wants him and Davon to stay in the middle as much as possible. So if Katie and Veronica, Frank and Sam want to take some big swings, you say their names. You say Turbo and Nany, whom we hear Davon is really close with. If you're going to take some swings at big, strong teams, Davon and Shane would rather not make enemies out of teams that are on their good side. So Shane is going through this balancing act of trying to stay in the middle, trying to placate this alliance, but in this alliance, he's feeling like he's being pushed out, and it's in a weird middle position that Shane feels like, and it goes throughout this entire episode. But we're gonna put a pin in that as everybody dons their challenge gear, head down to the daily challenge called Blow Your Mind. The way this game is gonna be played, each pair is going to split off on either side of this field. They're going to have multiple stations on their way to the middle where they're going to have to memorize clocks and addition symbols and everything. Once one of the pairs feels like they have memorized enough, they're going to detonate and incinerate this page. They're going to have to walk through it on their way to the middle where they'll meet up with their partners, and then they're going to have to solve a puzzle. The team that can solve this puzzle the most correct in the quickest amount of time will win into power, win into safety. To be honest, I really love this daily challenge. I love that everybody is split up from their partner. I love that they can't yell across this field of like, I got it, hit the thing, pull the lever, none of that. You just have to go off a feeling. You have to just start memorizing it. This was a very simple puzzle, simple challenge, but I enjoyed this one. I thought there was a lot of levels to it, but it was still simple, and I thought it was really well done. The first three teams to reunite in the middle to their puzzle station was Ashley, Kay, and Dario, Frank and Sam, Shane, and Davon. Now, as I mentioned, it's not who can submit first, it's more of who is the most correct. Then if two teams are tied, it'll go to time. Dario and Ashley seemed like they were not going to get this. It feels like they just knew that they weren't going to win, but Dario wanted to stir some chaos. He knew that once one person submitted, it would lead to a chain reaction and people would freak out thinking, if they are done, I gotta hurry up, hoping that I have enough correct or the most correct out of everybody and just submit as well. And that's exactly what happens. Dario's like, I don't care if my thing is right, I just want to submit it and then make everybody else squirm. And everybody does. One after another, it just seemed like instinctually and out of a reflex, hit that button to say that they were done, they were locking in their answers, except for two teams, Katie and Veronica, Shane and Davon. They both took their time. As we hear from TJ, he said that they were the slow pokes, but slow and steady can win the race, especially in this type of challenge. And taking that extra time actually helped them, as they were the two teams that got the most correct and were up to win, but it was Katie and Veronica who took home the win. So Katie and Veronica are safe. We've already heard from Veronica that she wants to send in Turbo and Nany, Amber and Faysal. But coming back to the challenge house, everybody that is not named Katie and Veronica, Frank and Sam, all talk with one another and say, how about we vote in Frank and Sam? So don't fill in Katie and Veronica about this plan, and everybody else is on easy street. Shane goes and tells Melissa and Nicole not to worry about a thing. They're not going into elimination. All you have to do is just vote with the numbers, and the numbers have Frank and Sam. And everybody in the house is clued into this plan except for Katie and Veronica, who are sitting there at the bar waiting for someone, anyone, to come talk game with them, yet nobody does. Everybody feels so comfortable in the house, and this is the point where you cannot be comfortable. And I love coming back to the challenge house. Katie and Veronica get down to business. They start strong-arming Nicole and getting the facts from her and really putting it on thick that if Frank and Sam possibly are being sent in, you will be sent in regardless. Because right now, Melissa and Nicole are looked at as the swing vote. Now, Melissa comes into the conversation and is kind of not vibing with everybody. She is frustrated because she lost Big T last week, and she feels that Frank is 100% is 100% responsible for Big T to be sent into the elimination and being back home, that Melissa is frustrated. But Frank denies that he is that he had any involvement with getting Big T sent into the elimination. Realistically, it was Adam and Steve's decision, so I don't really understand why Melissa feels like this is Frank's fault. I mean, even the house vote was Ashley and Dario, Frank's closest allies in the game, so I don't know. That's a little bit off because I don't think Frank would have wanted that to be the plan going into last week's. But anyways, there does seem to be this tension between Nicole and Melissa, and there seems to be this division between them heading into the house vote, where Melissa is telling the one side of the house that she is going to take a grandstand against Nicole and will be voting in Frank and Sam. But then Nicole is saying to Melissa that Veronica will never backstab you. Let's just vote her way and let's stay out of the elimination. And maybe, just maybe, it'll work out for us. Because it sounds like Nicole and Melissa do not feel like they're in the right headspace or right point in the game to be sent into the elimination at this moment. At the house vote, it is rainy. It is chaotic. We have TJ yelling into the sky, saying, is that all you got? I don't know what it is about this episode or about this scene, but then we have Amber, who wants to call out Frank at the very beginning of this house vote. I do feel like there was a lot of tension in the house, and I think that Amber had a lot of frustrations with Frank, with how the game has been going, with how this week and last week went down, that she had a lot to get off of her chest. But also, I wonder if calling out Frank here was in part a last-second Hail Mary to get that swing vote of Nicole and Melissa to vote Frank and Sam into the elimination instead of Amber and Faysal. At the end of the day, it is really close, razor thin. This is the closest house vote that we have had in this game so far. We get a vote of 3 votes for Frank and Sam, being voted on by Turbo and Nany, Amber and Faysal, Davon and Shane, and then on the opposite end, you have 4 votes for Amber and Faysal, from Frank and Sam, Ashley and Dario, Adam and Steve, Nicole and Melissa. Now, at the house vote, Amber wasn't the only person to call out Frank and accuse him of being they. Davon was also there to say that she thinks Frank is untrustworthy, that he is stirring up a lot in the house, that he is they, and then she said she didn't take likely to threats. So coming back to the challenge house, Frank feels scapegoated. Frank yells to make everything clear that just because this is a game, that he is smart, that he likes to play the game, and he is good at the game, doesn't mean that he is doing everything. Shane is loving every moment about this because not only are multiple people calling Frank out, but he is also causing a ruckus in the house to cause all eyes to be on him. So if this was a chess match, Shane feels like he is 3 moves ahead of Frank and is putting Frank on his back heels. But we're going to have to put a pin in this because Frank and Sam are pretty much done for this week's episode. Everybody dons their challenge gear, head down to the arena where Amber and Faysal join TJ on the arena floor, and Katie and Veronica send in Turbo and Nany against Amber and Faysal. I mean, this is incredible. I got goosebumps saying that Turbo and Nany and Amber and Faysal were facing off against each other. Now, Turbo and Nany have been relatively quiet in this game. They haven't won a whole lot, but people could assume that whichever team would win here, with the other team gone, the team that got to stay would better their chances of going into each and every daily challenge and having better odds to win challenges moving forward in this game all the way up to possibly making the final. TJ tells everybody that they will be playing scratch off, where each team will be given out a couple of coins to then scratch off a picture, and they're going to have to use that picture to finish a puzzle and recreate that picture verbatim. The first team to do that will win. Again, this elimination was simple. I like simple stuff. I will say, I think this was a little bit too simple. It wasn't that exciting. I think it took an all matter of like 5 minutes to put this puzzle together. The edit made this one look really, really close, but at the end of the day, Turbo and Nany win this elimination, and unfortunately, the powerhouse team of Amber and Faysal are eliminated. Now, this is wild because Devin, Leroy, Amber, and Faysal were the 2 teams that were winning so much early on in this season, and now, by episode 7, they're both gone. I feel like the door is widening to this season to have more variety, possibly new winners in future episodes of daily challenges and eliminations, and I feel like the game is starting to open up, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this will all go. I will say I am frustrated to see Amber and Faysal go this early. I felt like they were a shoo-in to make the final, possibly win this whole thing. They complemented each other really well. I think they worked together really well. I believe this is the first season that Faysal came off very likable, and Amber was just having the best time of her life. I felt like this was the first time we got to see Amber be Amber and kind of play the game, rather than it feeling like it was Amber versus the world, which happened in our first couple of seasons, sometimes because of Faysal. So it was really nice to see Faysal and Amber work together and possibly work together in the future. I think that would be really, really nice to see them work together and do really well. And Turbo and Nany get to stay in the game. They have a lot of friends, but also Turbo wants to start calling people out, because you don't send in Turbo and not get to hear a piece of his mind. Now, Nany at this point was able to calm Turbo down after he lost his GoPro when he was getting very frustrated, but we know from the promo trailers, the super trailers and everything, that's not going to last long. Turbo is going to want to say something. Possibly, if Turbo and Nany win, what could they do? I'm hoping that we see a Turbo and Nany win sooner rather than later, because I would love to see what they do and what decision they would make on who they would send in. I would love to see it. Now, coming back to the challenge house, and the next day, Veronica and Shane are trying to have a conversation. It seems like they're a little bit distant, given that they have a 20-year friendship coming into the game. And Veronica is trying to reassure Shane that if you think that I would listen to Frank and have Frank's interests over yours, you are wrong. And Shane says, I don't believe you. He just says it straight to Veronica's face that I think you're lying when you say that. I think that you like Frank more, you listen to him more, and I'm on the outs. And then we end off with a confessional from Frank, who is lounging in the pool, and he is just laughing, smiling in the confessionals, talking about how he has so many hands in so many cookie jars, talking about how he's had a hand in every single vote in, every single person being nominated, sent into the elimination, going home, and Frank feels like he is just the master of puppets in this game, and he is loving every second of it. And I'll be honest, I kind of love it. You know, these last couple of episodes, back to back to back, it's all been good. Like, we had to wait through a sludge of the same repetition, decisions being made, and now it just feels like this game is really starting to pick up, and I love it. You know, I really, really love it. This episode was great. I thought last episode was great. I thought the episode before was great. And I'm hoping the momentum can keep on going throughout this season, and I'm just loving it. I love Veronica and Katie making that decision, strong arming, getting down to business, knowing that something was up, putting pressure and leverage where it needed to be to get two very strong teams to be sent in. Two teams that could not only vie for two final spots, but also have a really great chance of winning. And you just take one of them out. Oh, it was so good. This episode gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next week. But now I want to turn it over to you. What'd you think about this week's episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about the daily challenge? What'd you think about the elimination? Do you think Shane has a case of feeling like he is being pushed out of his own alliance in the interest of Frank? Let me know that down in the comment section below as well. What do you think about Amber and Faysal being eliminated? Could you believe everything that was happening in this past week's episode with Katie and Veronica, who have not been doing well in daily challenges, win this past week and then completely shake everything up by sending in Turbo and Nany and Amber and Faysal? Let me know what you thought about this week's episode down in the comment section below. I cannot believe it, but I really can't wait for next week. I now want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, and thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge All-Stars content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.